In 1204, a crusade meant to protect the values, symbols, and lands that defined Christianity committed its greatest betrayal. The mission that targeted the Muslim-ruled Jerusalem became the largest ever recorded robbery against the global Christian capital of the world, Constantinople. This is the story of the Fourth Crusade. At the end of the 11th century, Alexios I Komnenos, the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as Romania or Byzantine Empire, appealed to Pope Urban II for aid against the Seljuk Turks, which led to the launch of the First Crusade. It was a success as Jerusalem was conquered, while the Eastern Roman Empire recovered land in Anatolia. Alexios I, however, died in 1118 and was succeeded by his son, John II Komnenos, whose hunting accident in 1143 proved fatal. He was in turn succeeded by Manuel I of the same dynasty, whose reign lasted until 1180. The three rulers restored the empire's influence and dominance across the Mediterranean, while relations with the West gradually improved through trade and economic activities after the schism between Catholicism and Orthodoxy in 1054. During that time, a second crusade was launched to recapture fallen cities from the Muslims, but eventually failed, leading to heavy losses for the West. The sudden death of Manuel I made his 11-year-old son, Alexios II, the heir to the throne, but due to his age, his uncle, Andronikos I, served as co-emperor. In the meantime, there was an increasing Latin influence in Constantinople by the Latin merchants, causing socio-economic upheaval and rivalry. The extensive trade rights that were given to them, along with their perceived arrogance and differences in faith, fueled resentment towards them. Thus, in 1182, the anti-Latin sentiment was led by Andronikos, who spread the rumor that the Latins planned to attack the Greek population. The situation escalated rapidly, which prompted the locals to unleash their anger. The result was the massacre of 60,000 Latins, while 4,000 were sold as slaves to the Sultanate of Rum. Andronikos took advantage of the chaos and murdered his nephew to become the sole emperor of the empire. But in 1185, Isaac II Angelos revolted against Andronikos, seizing power and arresting him. What followed was the most brutal execution in the empire's history, as the captive was tied to a pillar to be beaten, scalped, and eventually dismembered for 3 consecutive days by the angry citizens. The relations with the West were worsening and eventually collapsed when Isaac supported the Muslims during the Third Crusade due to fear of Latin revenge. However, the crusade was a huge success, even though Saladin's Ayyubid Empire managed to hold Jerusalem. But the Sultan's sudden death caused weakness and instability, which motivated the West for a Fourth Crusade. Meanwhile, the Byzantine Empire deteriorated geopolitically as the Normans and the Hungarians conquered territories in the Balkans, while the Bulgarians became rebellious. In 1198, Pope Innocent III ascended to the papal throne and spread the word for the necessity of the Fourth Crusade. The expedition was directed by Thibaut of Champagne, Boniface of Montferrat, Baldwin of Flanders, and Louis of Blois, who gathered knights to accomplish the plan. However, ships were needed, and the leaders turned to the Republic of Venice, who under Enrico Dandolo asked for a fee of 85,000 silver marks to provide services. In 1202, the knights assembled at Venice, but their number was far less than expected, and the money collected were not enough to pay the Venetians. As a result, Enrico Dandolo agreed to provide the fleet only if the Crusaders captured the city of Zara, which was under Hungarian control. Subsequently, the knights accepted the proposal, and Zara fell to the Crusaders. However, Pope Innocent, who was not aware of the compromise, opposed the invasion and excommunicated the knights and the Venetians. Though he lifted his action as he did not want to disrupt his initial plans. In the meantime, back in Constantinople, Alexios III, Angelos had taken power in 1195 by blinding and imprisoning his brother, Isaac II. But Isaac's son, Alexios IV, turned to the west in 1201 to seek help in restoring his father to the throne by joining the crusade. The Greek prince offered 200,000 marks and declared his intention of unifying the churches under the Pope's rule upon completing their mission. It was an opportunity the Venetians could not refuse. Pope Innocent, although reluctant to the proposal, did not completely condemn the turn toward Constantinople. Meanwhile, the rest of the Western leaders did not have a choice, as refusing would mean dishonor and broken vows to the Catholic Church. In 1203, the Crusade vessels arrived in Constantinople and attacked by land and sea. Alexios III, unprepared and fearful of the situation, stole the imperial treasury and fled the city. Isaac II was then freed and was crowned co-emperor with his son. Thereon, the knights camped outside the walls of Constantinople and waited for their payment, unaware that the money were gone. Eventually, Isaac II died, and a government official, Alexios V, Doukas Mortsouflos, was upset that a foreign army was outside the empire's capital. As such, he seized the throne, strangled Alexios IV, and attempted to force the camped Westerners to leave. The Crusaders were losing their patience, and their supplies were decreasing. Constantinople was rich with more than enough supplies, and the desire to capture it was tempting. They had no choice but to commit what was declared a great sin against Christendom. In 1204, Constantinople's gates were smashed within 3 days despite the defense, and the Crusaders aggressively entered the city. The following 3 days were filled with atrocities that cried to heaven. The defenders were slaughtered along with 400,000 inhabitants. No man, woman, or child was safe from the ravagers, who became increasingly uncontrollable. They destroyed and burnt buildings and monuments, massacred and humiliated civilians, government officials, and priests, while raping women and nuns. Meanwhile, robbery was the major objective of the Crusaders. Relics of saints and their luxurious reliquaries, furnishings, as well as works of art and literature, manuscripts, treasures, architectural and engineering wonders, golden and marble statues, among others, were looted from houses, churches, and palaces. Then, they were distributed among the Crusaders to be taken to their homelands, with France and Venice holding the most. An incident during the looting of Hagia Sophia highlights the utter breakdown of order as the Greek chronicler Nicetas Honiatis records the actions of a prostitute that accompanied the Crusaders. He writes, "Moreover, a certain silly woman laden with sins, an attendant of the Erinyes, the handmaid of demons, the workshop of unspeakable spells and reprehensible charms, waxing wanton against Christ, sat upon the synthronon and intoned a song, and then whirled about and kicked up her heels in dance." Once the Crusaders fulfilled their desires, the Eastern Roman Empire had capitulated and the Partitio Romaniae Treaty was signed. The empire was divided amongst Venice and its allies, with Count Baldwin of Flanders being crowned the first Latin emperor of Constantinople, with the rest of the leaders given a region to rule. In addition, the Orthodox Church was placed under the Pope's rule, and the Latin occupation had officially begun. In the meantime, the aftermath of the siege found Alexios V fleeing to Thrace and joining Alexios III in an attempt to restore the empire. Instead, Alexios III blinded him to roam the countryside helplessly, He was eventually found by the Crusaders and taken to Constantinople, only to be thrown from a high column in the Hippodrome. Then, in 1261, following 60 years of unstable management and increasing Greek influence, the Eastern Roman Empire was restored with no resistance at all by Michael VIII Palaiologos, Emperor of Nicaea, a state of exiled Byzantines. In the end, the Fourth Crusade left a deep scar in the hearts of the Romans. The schism between the churches was further solidified thereafter, and relations were not restored, as was the empire's glory, which was a shadow of its former self.